To be honest, it's hard because these things bite you and they bite you, and for some strange reason, these guys keep going back.
So I suppose getting into combis was, well, made me get into combis was just a VW Volkswagen Link. I started off with a Type 3 wagon and space, needed more space, so it was an obvious choice to go bigger and get a Kombi. That was to go around Australia about 12 years ago. We bought a 74 camper and found out 2 weeks before we left to go around Australia we were pregnant with our first son. At that stage it was a should we go or should we stay, and my partner was adventurous enough to say no, bugger this, we're leaving. We're going out, getting out of Sydney and going around Australia. It was so good that I promised that every other time we got pregnant we'd do the same thing.
A lot of my friends when I was growing up were into V-dubs and Beetles and Carmen Gears and Kombis and stuff like that. And yeah, that's where I first got into them. They were always trying to convert me from Holdens to V-dubs, and yeah, I just like the look of Kombis, really low mainly.
Well, to be straight with you, mate, I'm really not a Kombi guy. I was talked into it from a friend of mine, reluctantly of course, and picked it up because it was apparently cheap, and since then threw a whole deal of money at it, but as it turned out it sort of grew on me. But yeah, basically I'm really not a Kombi person, but it's just been a bit of a project, and which has basically gone on too long.
54 was the first year that Kombis were made available in Australia, unless they were privately imported otherwise. You know, they're great. You go camping, you can go surfing, you can drive it into town. They're so versatile and, yeah, easy.
I wasn't actually looking to buy one, but I did see one drive past the house I was living in and sort of fell in love with them at that point in time and thought that'd be great fun to restore. I was a little bit bored at the time and thought, I could enjoy that.
Like it, the wife gets a bit sick of it sometimes because it takes so much time, and I think she thinks it's better that I'm not down the pub, just outside.
They generally get annoyed with us doing too much talk about cars. They'll do the yawn and they'll walk into the other room. And the boys, you know, we're all into it. One of my best mates and I were rebuilding an engine together, and rather than go out to the pub, we've hooked up a night, I think it's next week, where we're going to spend all night with a carton of beer, a bottle of Stonies, and rebuild an engine, and that's fun for us.
It's Valor. It's a big car show. It's on every second year, and everyone pretty much tries to get their projects ready for Valor every time it comes around.
Yeah, all going camping at Valor. Every 2 years there's a show, and the girls are staying home this year, so the boys are all into it. The community does exist in Byron Bay. If I need a part, I've just got to make a couple of calls to a couple of guys, and generally one of us will have the right stuff.
Money never seems to change hands. It's usually a a mirror for a windscreen wiper for a badge for a bull bar. It's never, ever a straight cash transaction or a part, unless you go into the Kombi shops now who are making great money selling to these poor guys.
I was heading to Lismore because it was a bit of a treat. I was going to get some dinner, bring it home. And I was coming down one of the hills towards Beck's Hill and I saw a flash. It was just on dusk. I saw a flash under the right rear wheel or bumper. And the car hesitated just for a second. And I thought, that's a bit funny. So I pulled over, I seen another flash, pulled over, and sure enough, the engine's on fire. Smoke pouring out. I've had about 20 cars pass and not one of them stopped. Not one of them stopped. At that stage, I'd spent so much time and energy on this car that I was actually yelling at the car saying, no, you're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat me. I had it running again the next day after about an hour. It was lucky. A few mates have had worse situations than that. I've been pretty lucky, I reckon. But I've always got a fire extinguisher, just in case.
These things bite you and they bite you and they bite you and they bite you, and for some strange reason these guys keep going back. They are a particular breed and a breed that I don't understand. Like I said, I think they're a special vehicle for special people.
It's something that you can't shake. I vowed to get out of V-dubs a couple of years ago. That's it, got rid of everything. And it was about 18 months later I had to get another one. You can't shake it. You cannot shake it. I can't. I've got to speak for myself. It's definitely a sickness.
More of a disease, I think. Something they just can't seem to shake. Because the guys that I know have got these things not only have one, they've got 17.
It's yeah, just a big hobby, I think. Yeah, it's not a, it's not a must do. So if I didn't have cars, I'd probably surf more or snowboard more and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a hobby, I think. Yeah.
What keeps me interested is, I suppose, is that smile, that little bit of fun, that accomplishment by building a motor and getting an old car running. Everyone's got something that's a challenge. Mine, I suppose, that's one of my challenges. And I love getting a massive sense of accomplishment by finishing it.
This particular girl we found in a shed in the back of Skinner Ship, which is a place out the back of Byron. It was basically rusted from the ground up. It was very rough when we found her. And from that point on, we blasted it bare metal. Over 3 years is basically what it took to get it to what it was today. Rather than do this, dig it up and drive it kind of rough machines, I decided I wanted one to look like it was dipped in paint. Something nice, original, yet drivable.
This is a 54 model. It's different to all the other split-screen Kombis. It's what they call a barn door. It's not a barn door because of the side doors, but because of the engine lid. And it's got no overhang here for fresh air intakes. It's, you can see it's just straight up to the windscreen. It's also got a different dash and set out in the inside.
It's a 57 model, Type 2, I believe. The history of the car, it's lived its life in Coonabarabran, the little area that I found it, and it was the original V-dub distributor's personal car, their family car. And I traced it down by finding a name on the inside of one of the doors that had been replaced, and I traced the family to Grafton, and I have spoken to the son who learned to drive in this car, who is now 60 odd years old or more. So eventually I'll take it down and show him some photos, but see what he thinks of it at this point in time. It'll be very different to what he remembers, I dare say.
I've got a car at the top there. It's a 1965 11 window split windscreen van. It's a wreck at the moment. It is absolutely hollow. It doesn't have a thing, but there's a challenge with getting that on the road.
Yeah, pretty much do everything, all the mechanical stuff on them and bodywork, and yeah, I'm into the rat look Kombi, where it's just like it's come out of a paddock on the outside pretty much, and so yeah, the bodywork repairs, like, trying to blend into old stuff, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
As you can see here, I've got the bank of Kombis. There's another mate, Gaz, he's got the Beetles. There's another mate, Benny, he's got a lot of split parts. So The community exists strongly in Byron Bay. Of course, it's iconic for the area. We catch up now as friends, not just on Kombi stuff, but you know, we've all got kids that have come up together. You know, we hook up down at parks and things, and generally it's an excuse to get the cars out and just catch up. Some people have got fish. I've got cars. I suppose I've been into them for about 12 years. Yeah, 13, 14 years into Volkswagens. Yeah, 14 years.
Never do it again. They eat up metal, they eat up time, they eat up money. But apart from that, here it is. And I did sort of have some kind of attraction to her.
I'm actually a boat person. I'd rather get into boats. I used to build boats, so this is a complete left of centre for me. You know, like totally. I've never been a car person, but I must admit I have changed a bit. I'd buy another one for sure. I'm looking to buy more, just because I like them. Basically, I'm not obsessed. As silly as that sounds, but I'm not obsessed. But I do enjoy them.
I think it'll always be mechanical sort of stuff I'm into, because I've always been into that. Just I like the look of them the best, and I've got a family so I can take them with me. I like the odd sort of cars, you know, yeah, a bit different.
The business I'm running is fast, high-paced, it's stressful. Everything is now, and from 6:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night, it's now, it's now, it's now. I don't have lunch, I don't stop for breaks. It's fairly high-paced. If I'm driving a fast car at the end of that day, I'm getting home and I'm still fast-paced. Driving that 1974 single cab ute Kombi slows me down just enough and gives me a good enough smile that trip that was 15 minutes in a Hilux might be 25 minutes, 20 minutes in a Kombi, but I'm smiling when I get home. And that's worth every second. As long as I don't catch fire.